are joined now by House Intelligence Committee Chair Congressman Adam Schiff, a member of the January 6th Select Committee, and he's also one of the lead sponsors on a bill coming before the House this week called the Protecting Our Democracy Act, aimed at preventing future presidents from breaking traditional ethics and governing norms. Congressman Schiff, thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be with you.
So we'll get to the details of the Protecting Our Democracy Act in just a moment, but I do want to begin with the news about former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows backing away from cooperating with the January 6th committee, which says that it will now have no choice but to recommend he be held in contempt of Congress. First, when will that likely happen, and do you believe that the Justice Department should pursue criminal contempt charges as it did with Steve Bannon?
I think it'll happen very soon, and yes, I think, unfortunately, criminal contempt will be necessary. It's a very odd turn of events because he had decided to cooperate. He was producing documents, and in the production of those documents, we can see that there is no executive privilege that would apply to them. Certainly questions about the documents he's already provided can't be privileged. And his refusal all of a sudden to show up for his deposition today leaves us no choice. Apparently, Mr. Meadows believes that he can write about things in his book. He can write about conversations with the president about January 6th, but somehow he can't tell Congress about them. That's just not going to hold up with us, and we don't expect it would hold up with the Justice Department either.
And as you just stated, the committee's letter to Meadows said that he had no legitimate basis for not cooperating, given that he's written a book now detailing his time in the Trump White House and because he had already shared some records with the committee. But his attorney notes that that was being done voluntarily, and he was willing to answer questions related to issues that were not protected by executive privilege. Did the committee overstep at all in your efforts, considering that he had been willing to testify at one time?
No, not at all. And I think, as you say, the lawyer is acknowledging these matters are not privileged. And therefore, Mr. Meadows doesn't have a right to simply say, I'm not going to bother showing up because the president I used to work for doesn't want me to or doesn't want people to cooperate. No, I think that's exactly what lands you in criminal contempt. We went forward with Steve Bannon. It's going to be necessary now to go forward with Mark Meadows. There should only be one standard here. No one should be above the law. Everyone should be equally required to uphold their lawful duty when they're subpoenaed, and we intend to insist on that.
So do you believe that you'll eventually prevail here in getting his testimony?
Well, it all depends. If the Justice Department moves forward and prosecutes him, whether he would be willing to go to jail to maintain this kind of a silence or non-cooperation with the committee, whether he'd be willing to go to jail to deprive the American people of information that they need to prevent another attack on the building behind me. I can't answer that for Mr. Meadows. Only time will tell.
Beyond Meadows, where would you say that the committee's work stands right now?
I think we're making a lot of progress. Most people are cooperating. Most people who are subpoenaed are answering the call of the subpoena. And so these are the outliers that you're seeing, those that are deciding to thumb their nose at their lawful requirements. But we're learning a great deal, and we're moving with, I think, tremendous expedition. And we feel a sense of urgency. There was an attack on the Capitol. People died. The same big lie that propelled people to attack the Capitol, many members of Congress, the former president as well, are continuing to push that lie. If you persuade people that elections can't legitimately be used to decide who should govern, it opens the way for political violence. So we feel a real sense of urgency about our work.
And let's turn to the Protecting Our Democracy Act, which will likely clear the House this week. Quickly just outline some of the points, the key aspects of this package, what they would do, and why you believe that it's so necessary.
What we discovered over the last 4 years was that so many of the norms that hold our democracy together that we thought were inviolate could be violated with impunity. And so this package of our own post-Watergate reforms would do things like expedite enforcement of congressional subpoenas, protect the independence of the Justice Department, guard against abuse of the pardon power, protect inspector generals for being fired because they discover misconduct in the executive branch, protect whistleblowers, make sure that presidents can't enrich themselves through office, and that others don't use the office as an instrument of their campaign, and many other things, reforms that have been clearly made necessary, as we've witnessed over the last 4 years. But importantly, they're about the future. They're not about the former president. They're about a future president and the need to make sure no future president abuses the power of their office.
And you said earlier this fall when this bill was first announced, and I want to quote here, "I realize many of the Republican members live in fear of angry statements from the former president. Some of the measures in this bill appear to have bipartisan support, but is it realistic to expect 10 Republicans to sign on to this considering that the Senate, much of it is a rebuke of the actions the former president took while in office?"
You know, it's a good question. We'll find out soon enough when we take this up in the House. But you're absolutely right. Many of the provisions in this bill were authored by Republicans in the past. And Republicans should want the Congress to serve as a check on a Democratic administration. But whether the fear of the former president, the fear of doing something that would meet with his disfavor, is going to overcome their devotion to their own institution, we will find out.
Would you be better served, though, breaking this into smaller bills that can get clear bipartisan support so some of these measures actually get passed into law?
Indeed, some of the provisions in this bill have been taken up independently. They're running into, I think, some of the same roadblocks in the Senate. But we think that as important as the individual pieces are, they're really more important as part of a package because of what they say about the perilous state of our democracy and the comprehensive way we need to fully safeguard our democratic institutions going forward.
Congressman Adam Schiff, appreciate you coming back on the show. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
That conversation with Congressman Schiff happened earlier today, and late today we received word that Mark Meadows is now suing House Speaker Pelosi and members of the January 6th Select Committee to try to block enforcement of the subpoena for his testimony.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.